This is week 4. This is kind of the sum up night where we talk a little bit about all the things that we've already talked about. If you have any questions that remain unanswered, please, this is your opportunity, even if we're not touching on that particular subject, to ask away. Make sure that you leave here with a place to go to get your answers, whether it be the counselors or school staff at your student's school, or Heather or I are always available. Our names are all over the paperwork that you have in front of you. Our emails are our first name dot our last name at sanjuan.edu. Feel free to email us. Any question is not too insignificant or small. We hear them all. So
True.
2 nights.
So this is the big wrap up. So our session overview tonight, we're going to talk about overall success. I think we touched on it a little bit at the end last time. Just what does success look like for your child? It's so easy to want to put kids into the box of all children, but what does success look like for your child? What is the non-traditional college student? We've talked a little bit more about community college. We're going to talk a little bit about some of our local community colleges, the reality of the transfer and how we compare that to being a freshman admit versus being a junior admit as a transfer student, next steps, and what to do after that.
Okay, so this is a little bit about that competitive versus eligible conversation. Because the main thing on our minds when we're talking about college and thinking about college is we've all heard how competitive it is. We all know how hard it is to get in. We're in the middle right now with all our seniors of filling out all of their college applications. And their biggest question is, well, what can I do? What can I put down on this piece of paper or in this computer so I stand out for all of the thousands and thousands of people that are applying to this school? What can you do? Now, when we're talking about all of these things, we're talking about a specific set of universities. We've discussed the California State University system. The California State University system application is very cut and dry. You are admitted by a computer program. They look to see what classes you've taken. They look to see what your grades and your GPA and your test scores are. They put that information into a formula, and you're either in or you're out. Community service, participation in athletics, student government, rigor of your schedule, your networking scholarships, all these things that count are not a consideration for the CSU system. So if your dream is to go to San Diego State, how you devise your 4-year plan and the courses that you take can set you up to make those pieces of information that they need the best. I'm not saying don't do these things because they can help you develop yourself as a person, but as far as the application process and the admission cycle, they're not something you need to worry about. UCs and private schools, community service does matter. We say every student starting their freshman year in high school, keep track of what you do. The green binder that we gave you is a perfect opportunity to log your community service. Log your community service. If you do something with an organization, put down the contact person that you worked with, because you're not going to have to recall that information at all until you're doing scholarships or college applications.
And it really does come up.
And then they'll want to know what you did every year, how many hours a week you did them, and who was the contact person. It might be for a Renaissance application at school, which is an award program that some schools have. Or maybe it's a scholarship. Or maybe it's a UC application or a private school application that they just want you to pick your top 5. But in looking at that, you can see patterns. You can see areas of maybe your interests where they lie. And then your junior and senior year, if you look over your freshman and sophomore year and you think, wait, what did I do? What did I really enjoy? What maybe do I want to get involved with at a deeper level? Because that's where your leadership comes in. Athletics, student government, clubs, jobs, even working outside of school, those all matter. Students, there's all places to put all of those on the application. But the general rule is depth over number, quality over quantity. Being a member of 17 clubs isn't going to be as useful to help you stand out as being a leader or an officer in one or two key clubs that really help support what you want to do.
And when you start looking at some of the conversations that UC will put out what they're looking for in students, kind of some blanket, kind of more vague statements about what they're, and leadership is always one of the things that is mentioned
Exactly.
in that. They want to see kids that are capable of taking the reins and moving things
And
forward.
seeing what their opportunities are and seeing if there's a need and being proactive to solve that need. Not just showing up and joining something, but if you see that there's a need, initiate something. Start something, whether it be on your campus or in your community. Either one is equally important. The rigor of your course schedule also comes into play. We talked about that, and rigor means that you've taken an increasingly difficult course of study from your freshman year to your senior year. It's not necessarily you've taken the hardest classes the school has offered, but that you've stepped it up every year. If you didn't have an honors class your first year, maybe you add one in your sophomore year, and add an AP class in by your junior year, and then you add at least one or two your senior year.
And
Those
that's
are
great.
important.
And I do think that that's true for most. There are those very high-level elites where they really are going to want to see the very best of what the school has. I mean, if your child's applying to West Point, they need to be at the very top of the top that we have.
And that is where the next bullet comes into play, networking. When we're talking those elite colleges, those very rigorous, high academic colleges, reach out to them early. Start talking to the admissions advisors in your area. Every school has assigned outreach admissions advisors. You can start asking them questions. Ask to visit the campuses, and when you visit the campuses, seek out someone to speak with. Whether it be a professor or somebody in the admissions office, that is true at every level, even undergraduate admissions. It can't hurt, because then it gives you a frame of reference. When you're writing your essays, you can recount something that leads you to why you want to attend there. Maybe you heard about Professor so-and-so's such and such class, and you want to contribute to it in this way. And you can include that in all those little things that make you stand out. And of course, if you are from an underrepresented group, or you're first in your family to go to college, those things actually do count in your favor for admissions as well at those private elite schools. Not so much with the CSUs and the UCs.
Right. Although the CSU will have EOP options for underrepresented groups, so there are things that kids can sign up to receive extra services, which can be really helpful.
Right. I mean, if you're in high school, just keep yourself busy and do what you enjoy. Don't do something because it's going to look good on your college applications. I hear that from students all the time. Well, I want to do this because it's going to look good on my college applications. You know, make choices that you enjoy and get involved in things and take initiative, and the college application will show, and it will be just fine.
Oh,
All right, now switching gears from college applications.
character. And I do think this kind of bleeds into it. That's why this slide is on here. The truth is, you want your character to shine through in your college applications. And these are great points. We've all seen these in our elementary schools, you know, when the kids were doing character traits of the week and respect and trustworthiness, caring, and citizenship. All those things were such an important foundation for kids. They're foundational for a reason. You know, we want kids to exemplify these types of character traits. And as they make the transition into college, we want them to be able to show that kind of what they're made of. You know, that moral development is such a meaningful component of their growth and development. And when they make the transition to high school and then college, kind of being able to show that there's an underlying message here for your child, that character did matter for them, can be meaningful on that personal statement.
It is definitely meaningful.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning. This isn't where it ends. One thing that we want to springboard and talk about is, yes, character is important, and communicating that through this whole process is. However, in order to be successful, there are a separate set of characteristics that are equally important. In fact, more important in predicting success. And this book, How Children Succeed by Paul Tough, is one that we highly recommend. We show a picture of it there, and what it talks about is basically the performance values that we want to promote and validate within our students, because these are the things that will predict their success. If I have a student in my office crying because they're falling apart because they sat down to take their AP calculus test and they just didn't know it, and they drew a blank, and so they fold into a little anxiety and get sent to my office, and I'm seeing them as a junior or a senior in high school, very high level, very intelligent, very on paper capable student, without the grit to take that challenge and not let it completely put them into a puddle, that predicts their success in college.
Because it's just getting harder from here.
And colleges know that. They know that the 4.0 all A student might get to the college campus without their supports, without their parents, and crumble. And they look for those little pieces of the application and the skills in the student that they can stand on their own and be successful. That they have that educational curiosity, that they have the optimism, and they have the problem-solving abilities, that they will fail. It is hard, but what are they going to do when that happens?
And I almost feel like for kids, you kind of want them to have a little bit of failure when they're home with you, so that you can gauge, what does that look like? How are you coping? How are you making it through? I mean, life has all sorts of little failures that goes on for all of us. We know what that looks like. Those are the times I think I've wiped myself off, dried my tears, and kept going. Much more formative than being successful. Being successful is easy. It's hard to kind of walk the steps sometimes, but failing, picking yourself back up and keep going, now that's hard.
And you can reinforce this. I mean, you can reinforce it at home, you can reinforce it with school, and it's a lot about appreciating the process, but it's developing those skills. Some of them might be intrinsic, some of them might be there or not. Some students might be more educationally curious than others. Some of them might need a little bit more coaxing to kind of investigate those sides of themselves, but to have that optimism of staying positive, that's a mantra in my office. It's like, you want to be happy, you want to be optimistic, you want to look at the positive side. That's a choice, and that's a choice that everybody makes every day, and you can do the same thing with education. So Paul Tough, How Children Succeed, it really does span the levels of education and just general success, not only in school but in life. So it's a good read.
And I love things that talk about the social intelligence and the emotional intelligence for kids, because we talk so much about academic intelligence and you've got to be smart to win and be successful. But the truth of the matter is, it's a bigger pie.
Right.
It's a bigger.
And these are the performance values of this book right here, How Children Succeed by Paul Tough. It's another one. It's a good read. All right, so moving on, yet another topic.
Looking all over. This really is a wrap up.
This one's all over the place.
All right, so community college is an option. Well, you know what? This was part of that conversation I think we had towards the end last week, that you don't ever have to be done. So if something goes on in your life and things change drastically for you, and the path that was laid out in front of you doesn't look the same, and that really does happen to kids sometimes, that the path doesn't have to end. There's lots of different, I've certainly had situations with kids where they were going to go away and then something changed in their family. Dad may have lost a job, or, life changes and now they're staying home and they're doing something different. It doesn't have to end though. And that's what's so wonderful about, I think, college in California. Community college is always an option. It's here for kids. It's a great resource. Students can take classes to transfer to a 4-year, to be ready for work. There's all these great work programs at our local community colleges. Explore opportunities. I just had a conversation with one of my kids the other day who said, oh, I'm going to go away to school and I want to take like a media class and an art class and a this. And our conversation was, when you go away, we want you to take graduation bound classes. If you were going to stay home, that would be a great time to take all those fun, discover yourself classes. You can earn an AA or an AS and it'll transfer over and you still have that preliminary degree, which is so nice. And you know, we're so fortunate. I can't even tell you how many work programs and certificate programs American River College has, but I know they have a ton.
They do,
Got
and it's
welding
growing
and
all the time.
just so many courses for kids to go straight to work, to be trained and then go straight to work.
So all of the private technical colleges that we hear advertised all the time, all of those programs are available at a community college campus for a portion of the cost.
Because you hear often, I know I certainly heard many kids talk about, I'm going to go to the Institute of Art and get my AS in digital media. Well, ARC has that as well. So there's lots of great opportunities for kids to really explore at our community colleges.
Exactly. Certificate
see-
programs.
yeah.
These are a couple of the certificate programs that American River College offers. They have, you know, one in automotive. They have a business division. They have Consumness, I know, has a great architecture program.
And in all fairness to that conversation, sometimes a kid just needs to get on a campus. I mean, I know parents tend to be more focused sometimes on, well, we need to be thinking about the 4-year degree and what does that 4-year degree tell us? And then a child goes on to a college campus, like a community college, starts taking classes, maybe even for automotive or business development, anything, and finds that they can do college. I think sometimes kids need that confidence to know that they can do it. And it leads to taking enough classes to transfer.
And here we go. There's 112 community colleges campuses across California, and all of them have a different set of programs that they offer. So even the student that wants to end up at a 4-year university in San Diego, they can leave right after their high school experience and start with a community college in San Diego to transfer over. If you're working on the prep to transfer to a 4-year degree, you have to complete 60 units before you can transfer. The age of transferring into your sophomore year is over. That doesn't happen anymore. It's not like, oh, I'm going to start at a community college, I'll go there for a year and then transfer. No, once you start at a community college, if it is your desire to transfer to a 4-year school, your next point of opportunity to apply to that 4-year school is as a junior level transfer. Yes?
If the answer is sure, why is that?
Why is it that the junior level transfer is the only option now and not a sophomore level? Mostly has to do with numbers. Because all of the CSU programs are impacted, and they've deemed they'll take freshman applicants and they'll take junior applicants, but they're not going to open up their application to sophomores because they don't have the space. And sometimes if you meet all of the qualifications coming out of high school, a smaller CSU may open up for an undergraduate transfer, which is what an under 60 units is called, is a lower division transfer. But most of the time, it's upper division transfers. Start as a freshman or an upper division transfer. And it's money. It's a numbers game. So you can take them anywhere. You can take those classes anywhere. I do say, though, that where you take most of your 60 units, that's what initiates your residency for admission. And we're talking counties wide now because the CSUs give preferential admission to the students in their region. So if you really want to go to Chico State and you take most of your classes at Butte College, then you're going to be considered in their region and have priority admissions if you do want to transfer, like let's say in spring of your junior year, or start your junior year in spring, or even in the fall as a junior. There's a couple of CSUs that don't have regional regions, like San Diego, and I think Long Beach is turning that way, but all the rest of them do. And UCs as well. They give preferential treatment to community college transfers, even other schools, even other students transferring from other CSUs and other UCs. It doesn't mean you won't get in, but they give preferential treatment to the community college students.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so if you start at Sierra, let's say you go and you finish high school and I'm just going to stay home. You stay at Sierra and you do 1 year at Sierra and then you realize, no, my dream is UC Santa Barbara, and you come down to Santa Barbara Community College for that
Right.
second year. Will you then be considered in their region?
It depends on if the majority of your units are at Santa Barbara or at Sierra.
Oh, okay.
They look at where the majority of your units are.
Okay, that's fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any
So it
other
depends.
questions for anybody else? I love this little game of numbers personally.
It's
I
all a
find
game
it
of
fascinating.
numbers.
But
So is Folsom Lake, Sierra College, and American River, do they all feed to Sac State easily?
Very
Fair.
easily. Now, in the community college system,
know.
there are unique systems within the whole community college structure. The Los Rios system, for example, the Los Rios district per se, is American River College, Folsom Lake College, Sac City College, and Cosumnes. And then Sierra College is different. Sierra College isn't a part of the Los Rios system.
Who are they a part of?
Their own.
their own thing.
They're Sierra
yeah.
College. They're standalone.
And they've got an extension kind of
They're
up
not in
towards
a
Lake
district.
Tahoe, but
They're a standalone community college. They're still a part of the CCC. So you apply to all of them on the same website. I know it's confusing.
it looks like they're the same thing.
It
It
looks
really
like
does.
they're the same
Yeah,
thing, but
not.
they're not. The Los Rios schools are part of the same district. So it's very easily to go from between one and the other, even in the same semester. You could take a class at Folsom Lake, a class downtown, a class at ARC, all within the same semester in order to get all the units you need and the classes you need to transfer.
On that then, if you were going to Sierra College, where would your likely jump point to be for CSU?
Well, Sacramento is still in the region. It's still in the, Sacramento is definitely still the region for Sierra College.
What about UC Davis? Are we
Yep.
in their region?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, UC Davis as well. We are in UC Davis's region also. So if you're at the Sierra College, CSU Sacramento and UC Davis are the regional private or public California schools for anything in the Sacramento County and Placer.
Yep. And I encourage you guys to look at some of our community
Oh,
colleges. are
look,
just
yeah, see all the red
fascinating.
dots, those are all the community colleges across the nation. So they're really everywhere.
I know, huh?
I've had
Wow.
students pick up and move to Florida or someplace on the East Coast, and just all you have to do is show up on their doorstep to apply for a community college, really. Now, what you take is going to be different. It's going to be based on your high school preparation, because not every community college student is created equal, even all the ones that are there to transfer. Some might be working on remedial work because they didn't get it done in high school. And that's going to tack on their years at that community college. Because not all schools require 60 transferable units. Those are just the California schools. Some of the other colleges across the United States, you can do that sophomore transfer. You can transfer after 26 units, or you can transfer even after fewer than that. It depends specifically on each school. All righty. So this is more about pathways to the 4-year degree. We talked about high school, and the 2 years at the community college, and then the 2 years at the university, and then that you get your bachelor's degree. This can happen. It's rare. Usually these now are closer to 2 to 3 years here and 2 to 3 years here, and that's just because sometimes it's more difficult to get classes. Sometimes if you change your major any time in this process, it'll tack time onto it because maybe you're not taking the right class for the right area. But it's not, your time at a community college and then you start your 4 years to get your degree. This whole combination is your 4-year degree. You can take classes at the community college and even wait after 60 units to get more of those classes then to transfer over to the university, and even have it be more of a 3 years, 1 year situation.
Is there a max?
You have to have there is a max to transfer, and
Okay.
it depends on the different ones, whether it's
Okay.
quarter or
Okay.
semester system. And you usually have to have at least 30 units in-house to earn that degree at that institution.
Okay.
So if you get everything done, even with except for a couple, you have to do additional to get that degree at that
And the reason we
institution.
have this slide is because we run into a lot of kids who think, okay, high school, I don't want to go to 2 years community college because then I have to do 4 years at the university. And so we want kids to recognize, no, it's 2 + 2 = 4, not definitely always 4 here and then 2 additional here. So we're not saying that it's going to add to 6. It really is just 4. The first 2 years will count at
Okay,
the
I want
community
to go
college.
back to this slide
Okay.
for a minute. Okay, so one thing I didn't mention on this slide is the timeline. A lot of students get really confused about the whole admissions timeline and why community colleges can kind of be your perfect backup plan. We're saying complete your A through Gs. We are definitely saying get those requirements done in college, and in the fall of your senior year, fill out your college applications. Fill out the CSU application, the UC application, the private school application. The process for the community college student doesn't happen until the spring of their senior year, early spring, February. So you can get all of your college applications done by January of your senior year, and then just keep this in your back pocket. So if you don't get that admissions decision that you wanted, or that financial aid package doesn't come through that you wanted, and you're thinking, you know what, a realistic plan is really to start at a community college, then in February you apply, and then you have time to do all of your assessments and still have priority registration by April. So the time frame is really after all of the other four-year university applications are done.
What is priority registration?
So people pick classes in particular orders, and you can't just, I just said you can just show up at a community college. There are certain steps you need to do before you choose your classes. You have to take assessments so they can determine what level of classes they're appropriate for you. You have to fill out the online application and do your orientation, and all that takes time to go through that process. And they want you to get it done early. Starting in April 1st, they start divvying out the time frames when people choose their classes. So incoming freshmen, if they get all that done by April 1st, that's at least Los Rios is deemed for early priority registration, so they'll get one of the first slots to choose classes, as opposed to waiting until September and most of the classes are full, so they don't necessarily get what they want, and they have to, wait for classes to open or crash courses to see if they can get into them. Okay, so now we're going to
Love it.
switch gears again,
Really?
yeah, and go and talk about
SMART goals. Okay. All right. These are good goals, though. I love the SMART
Okay.
goals.
We hounded students. Goals are important. Goals, you got to have goals, you got to have goals, you got to have goals. A part of Naviance that we showed you all in week 2, you can set goals. You can write goals down. Writing goals down just increases their validity so much because it just makes them more real. But they have to be styled like SMART goals. Has anybody heard that expression before? A SMART goal? You kind of have a little bit.
Hey, all right.
That's good.
Hopefully here at school, maybe.
Okay, so then it's obviously it's an acronym, and I've seen them kind of mean slightly different things. I know you can't read that, but
I know.
goals have to be specific, they have to be measurable, they have to be achievable, realistic, and time bound. For a goal to really have meat, for it to really have power in your life, all those things have to be a part of the goal. I'm going to go to college. That's a great goal, but what does it mean? I'm going to pass this class. No, it's like, sure, what does that mean? You're going to get a C, you're going to get a B, you're going to get an A. That's maybe not specific enough. If you write down specific goals for yourself, and you have short-term goals, and you have long-term goals, you can see your progress. And getting in the habit as a student to be very regimented and about setting goals and then work in some sort of reward system, whether it be from, your parents or just even yourself. That's when you start taking away the extrinsic value systems and it becomes more of an intrinsic one. Because you're getting your reward systems from the outside, and then all of a sudden those pride bubbles start to burst and you start feeling good about yourself for all these things that you've done and achieved and worked towards, and you're building your confidence, really. And then it becomes more intrinsic part of your whole value system. So SMART goals are a good thing.
And I certainly love SMART goals that aren't just grade-based. I've never been a parent or a counselor that's just only about the grades. So I love things that are like, we're going to have 0 missing assignments this year in English. It's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic, and it's time bound. And it's really something that a parent can put some real incentive around. Because 0 missing assignments is a great goal for all students, whether they're high achievers or mediocre achievers. You know, that's something that feels really good. And we want kids to feel like they're progressing and making strides in their academics. And then that kind of goes back to a character goal of being dependable and being someone who can complete what they start. And
Exactly.
all of that. So it's nice when it all connects together to
And
create
that
a
teacher's
goal.
going to be much more likely to write a really good letter of recommendation for you.
That's right.
All right.
Oh, we're going to switch places because I'm going to also pull up the
Okay.
family and community engagement website with this.
Oh, wonderful. So it's important to know your resources. It's important to know where to go with your questions or who to talk to when you need support, or if you're just kind of lost and you've seen what now. Here's where I am. Here's where I want to go. What do I need to do in this point? And check in on a regular basis. You know, freshman year, introduce yourself to your counselor. Say, this is what I want. I want to go to UC Berkeley. This is my goal, my long-term goal. What do I need to do? Freshman year, realistically, come on, my classes. What do my grades need to look like? What should I be getting involved with? What do I need to look for? And every year revisit that, and it's very valuable. Okay, so what are you going to show us?
I wanted to get to the community and family engagement, online family resource center. So I have to say, in our whole district, this is one of our best websites
Can you go
out
back
there.
and show us again how we
Okay,
got
yeah, absolutely. Because I always kind of find myself discovering it for the first time every time I look at it. Okay, so this is sanjuan.edu. So this is the San Juan website. And I do want to share this little tidbit. I don't believe this impacts anyone in the room, but it might be impacting someone at home. So over here in this little corner, when we talk about resources, if a family member speaks a language other than English, you can change this whole website to be a different language at any time, which is super cool. So we're going to keep it on English for right now, but it absolutely is something that can be changed so that it's accessible by families who speak a wide variety of languages. Then you go to Parents, and you go down to Online Family Resource Center. And over here you're going to find a lot of different resources for families, ways to get involved, academic resources, other resources. I can't remember what we hit last time. Let's hit other resources and see. So we've got 211 Sacramento on here, which is,
Does everybody know about 211?
oh yeah, sure.
211 is a great, it's a county resource, or is it state?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be state.
It is a public resource, like 411 is information. Remember, you used to call 411 when you wanted and needed a number for something? Remember that?
I know kids don't know what that is.
Don't
We
know
do.
what 411 is. It's like 411. What?
They know what the 411 is, but they don't know that that was actually a phone number and you could call it.
Okay, this is a way throwback. Does anybody ever remember that you had to call 411 to get the time right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you had
Popcorn,
you had a
that's
time
true.
phone number.
We had a time phone number, but you'd also could call 411.
Yes.
Or popcorn. That's right. You'd call popcorn. Oh my goodness. I remember that. To get the time right before we had satellite phones.
I know
that
kids are
tell
like,
you
but it's on your
everything."
phone. But we didn't have those back then.
Okay, so but everybody knows 911. That's something that all the students know, right? It's an emergency number. Well, there's also 211. And 211 is a resource number for reference or referral to anything. Whether it be, I need to know a dentist in my area, I want to know what childcare is available, to I need some good resources for math tutoring.
I know Sacramento Ebola information
need-
just in case.
211. It's
get help.
basically community resource services in the Sacramento area. It's
It's
wide
just a wide
open.
variety of
Wide
resources.
variety.
So it's
So
really nice to
It's
have
a
out
great
there.
resource, and we have an online resource to that too. If you scroll down a little bit.
Oh, I was just hit back.
Okay.
Okay,
well,
good.
we
I'm
were
going to
just
go.
there.
Here we are.
You can do 211. You can do it the online resource as well. It doesn't have to be just a phone call. It's
No,
a-
and
it's
here there's
it's
a resource-
web-based platform now too.
So you can do a search. So if you're looking, like you said, dentist, you could type dentist in the
So
search.
let's say I wanted help with tutoring.
Okay. Let's hope there's something. Oh.
Oh, we have to do a
Found-
category.
Oh, do we?
And so it says need click.
Can I just hit that one?
Sure, let's give it a try.
Need help searching. Click here for categories. Okay. Oh, so and then it'll take you to more of a search kind of experience. Oh, am I getting some?
Oh yeah,
I
you
am.
are. Look at
Okay.
there's agencies at Folsom Lake College, Teen Center USA. Well, there's tons.
Okay, I'm getting some. Yay! So there we go. So you found some.
But don't forget, schools usually have resources for that as well that are more school site specific, because most schools offer tutoring outside of the normal day.
Academic resources, so they've got some great tools on here as well to help kids academically. I know we hear a lot about Khan Academy and Mr. Math Blog and some of the other great ones, but there's also other things on here for us to kind of check into and refer back to. And I know that they have one that also has some really great just parenting tools and supports for if you need help. You just need help. Sometimes as a parent, we just need a little help. So there are some great things out
Look
here,
at there
I
we
would
are.
say.
Look at there we are.
Are we on there?
Yeah.
Score. So, so I really suggest kind of going out here and just seeing what else is out for families to learn about. I'm really someone who likes to refer families back to some of the mental health support services that are in the area. High school can be very challenging. We want to support kids as best we can. And sometimes if you find yourself in a crisis situation, please know that there are services out there. 211 is a number you can call for immediate support, and in emergencies, you can always call 911. And we do encourage families to call 911 if you are fearful for your child's safety. I mean, not that we think that that's not a typical experience for all children, but if you find yourself in a situation where you really are confronted with crisis and you're worried for your child, know that there are some great resources to reach out to in your community.
Exactly.
All righty, let's go back. Keys to college. All right, counselors,
Okay.
what do?
We do it all.
We do a lot for kids. So,
As we mentioned before, we're great go-to people. If you don't know exactly who to call, is this a VP thing? Should I be calling admin? Do I need to talk to the teacher about this one? Do I get involved? Should I let my student handle this on their own? When do I let them kind of figure it out? And when do I step in? I don't want to make it worse. All those things are things that we hear all the time. And we can help you process through that decision because it is ultimately your decision and it's not going to be universal for every situation. But call the counseling office, talk to the counselor. They usually know more of the players that are involved and they might help give you a little bit more of a direction as to what you want to do or how you want to handle a particular situation.
or even understanding the consequences. I've recently had a
Exactly.
conversation with a parent in regards to discipline. And sometimes it's nice to know that the worst that can happen isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So from that parent perspective, it's nice to know, okay, the school is now involved in discipline for my child. I'm really worried about it. What are we really looking at in terms of all this? And it's nice to have someone else to bounce that all off of and understand it with.
Very true. Tutors, like I mentioned, are available pretty much universally on every high school campus. They have a tutoring structure aligned already. We have a tutoring club that tutors in the library after school for an hour every day at Del Campo. I'm sure that most schools have something like that, whether it be the teachers that open up their classrooms during lunch or before school. We've mentioned Khan Academy and MrMathBlog.com, great resources. I don't know that I mentioned it when we did the new SAT talk, that they're aligned specifically with Khan Academy for SAT prep, for free SAT prep. So the new SAT that's going to be rolling out in March is going to be working in conjunction with Khan Academy to deliver preparation for the SAT. AVID is another great resource. It's a program that we talked about that your student can be involved in high school. And this is more college, the EOP.
EOP, do we have that wrong?
I don't
think
know.
it's EOP. I don't know what
It used-
EAOP is.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
okay.
It's EOP.
All right.
And that's for when you get to the college level supports and you need, it can offer admissions assistance as well as tutoring to preferential scheduling of classes if you meet these particular standards for the EOP programs.
Yep. Common pitfalls. Oh, the pie chart of procrastination. I know. Do we have an extra button? Does something like come into that?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So, as kids move forward, we really want to encourage them to make good choices. I know that we've kind of talked a little bit about kind of some of the parenting pitfalls that lay before us in these unique years as kids discover themselves and transition to adulthood. And so I think it's really helpful to kind of walk kids through some of the things that can be really detrimental for them. Lack of communication, the third one down, is always my key one though, because as long as those lines of communication stay open for kids, it's really, it's just not as difficult to miss deadlines and deal with procrastination and have to worry about hovering and rescuing your kids. Because when you have good communication and you're constantly having dialogue of, where are you? How's that going? Do you need any help? Let me know, I'm here. What more can I do to support you with that?
Not enough involvement can kind of be on that list too, because our high schoolers are independent and we want them to be independent, but they still need us through the process.
That's right. They haven't learned the steps yet. I mean, I think it took me till I was 40 to kind of figure out, how do I manage a project for myself and lay the framework and the groundwork so that I have the knowledge base to move it forward and do the work I need to do so I can be successful. Those kind of things take a long time for us to figure out for ourselves. And a lot of times we're expecting high schoolers to get it. They should know it. They've got a planner. They should be fine. And they don't. And that's fair that they don't. And sometimes they need that constant encouragement of, I know you've got a big project coming. I know CASA has a senior project. It's a massive project. It's not unreasonable that kids need, some friendly reminders, some help charting a path and making a plan, because it can be daunting. And it's easy to have missed deadlines when you don't have a well-designed plan.
And ideally, you learn those lessons in high school, and so when they have less effect on the outcome of your choices than in college.
Absolutely. It's so smart to figure it out now. Questions?
Something. Okay, financial aid. Financial aid. There are 3 types of financial aid. There are grants, there are scholarships, and there are loans. All of them are considered aid, and they're a part of the aid package that you receive your senior year after you file your FAFSA. This is something that is done senior year. It is now in January, but there's talk of it moving earlier. So you could start doing it as early as October of
So
your
for your
student's
kids,
senior year.
It might actually be opening early.
And they take your income from the previous year. So if you're filing your FAFSA for your senior student, they're going to look at your income from when they were a junior. For the college that you'll be paying for, the year after they graduate. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? They will, I know. They will also, they're talking now about going back 2 years. So they will also look at the year that they were starting their senior year as well, and the year prior to that. After you submit your FAFSA, and I say submit it early. I know taxes aren't done until June. Usually, what am I saying? April.
April.
Taxes aren't due
No.
until
Good.
April. Wishful thinking. School's out in June. Taxes aren't due until April, but you submit your FAFSA with a projected income amount for that current year.
And
You can estimate what you think your income will be based on the prior year's income. And then you just say you will file, and then after you filed, you can go back and do an amendment. But if you submit your FAFSA early, some money runs out. So you get in line for the money early.
First come, first serve.
Some of it is first come, first serve, yes.
Yeah. not all of it, but some is. And sometimes we don't know where our kids are going to go in October.
Right.
So it's nice to just get it done.
So the FAFSA is really the driving force for all financial aid. Now we're going to talk about scholarships in a minute because it deviates from that a little bit. But school grants, school scholarships even, school-based scholarships, and loans happen from the FAFSA. Work study happens from the FAFSA. Grants is money that you don't have to give back. Scholarships are money that you're gifted to you and you don't have to give back. Grants or loans come in subsidized variety and the unsubsidized variety. There's caps to the amount of federal loans that you can receive. The subsidized loans are loans that don't start accruing interest until after your student graduates. So it's basically, free money until graduation. So you can take a subsidized loan and pay it off early, and then you won't accrue interest on it at all. Or you can go into repayment after you graduate, and the interest starts accruing after you graduate. Unsubsidized loans start accruing interest as soon as you're given the money, but they don't go into repayment until after you graduate. And again, the loans that you receive are capped. Freshman year, it's like $5,500, I think, is the cap of subsidized and unsubsidized loans. Anything in addition to that, they're going to offer you what's called a Parent Plus loan, which is basically a parent loan to make up the difference of the financial aid. And that is something that a lot of schools kind of say, oh, we're offering you aid to equal what your need is, but $15,000 of it is a Parent Plus loan. So you have to be wary that is out there. You can always ask for more, though. If they offer you, an unsubsidized loan of, $4,000, you can ask for an additional $4,000 if you meet certain circumstances. So you can always ask for more. Grants are federally and state funded. There are Cal Grants, Cal Grant A and B, which are entitlement grants, which means if you meet the income and you meet the certain GPA, everybody that meets the requirement gets them. And there's Pell Grants, which are federal grants. And those depend on what institution you go to. Those are all driven through the FAFSA. Submit early, do your estimates, and all your financial aid will be driven through that. You will get an aid report from each individual school you apply to. And each one of them could be different. Because they might have school-based grants. They might have a big chunk of school money that they give in order of who applies to it for their school. So this is different. Now when we're talking scholarships, those are things that you can start applying for as early as freshman year.
Like when we were on the Naviance page and they had the big lists of scholarships. Because it is kind of neat. One of the things we've really noticed just as a family myself is that some of these aren't even eligible. He's not eligible for anymore because the application was for when his junior year. Now he's a senior, so time to move on.
So the big scholarships are always good to look at because you can see ahead what the deadlines are, about what time frame, and you can start applying for some of the big scholarships that will pay like lots of money. You do have to report any private scholarship that you receive, and it can be counted against your financial aid package. So if the school was going to give you a $10,000 grant because of your GPA or because you met their scholarship system for, you have these test scores, you have these GPAs, you get this amount of money, and then you get a $10,000 outside scholarship, they might say, oh, well, you already have it, you don't need ours, so we're not going to give you both. That can happen. But that doesn't mean you don't apply for the private scholarships because they can give you a little burst of. Okay, so this is your Naviance site. You go to the colleges tab and you scroll down to the bottom and you see the scholarship match and the scholarship list. And you can do a scholarship search based on specific filters. You can do a match based on the information that Naviance has about your student. They'll give you ones that already match it, or you can just see the list of everything. So just let's take a look at the list.
Okay.
So this is the list that we have of current scholarships right now in our system. You can keep scrolling down. There are a lot of them.
I'm just in the B's. No, C's.
Oh, we're to the C's.
Yeah,
okay, there are quite a few. So doing the filter is probably not a bad idea. Okay, stop for a second.
Okay.
So you can see that all of them are in here. Oh, look, Harvard, full tuition. This is one that you get through the application process. through the Harvard-based application. And we've already said that you get into one of those upper echelon private institutions and you make less than $150,000 a year now, and they have the sliding scale based on your income. And Harvard will even pay for your transportation to get there.
Ooh, honors graduation. I
Right.
mean, there's all sorts of stuff. Some
So this one
are need-based.
is $1,000, and you write a 400 to 800 word essay. Most of these have writing attached to them. The private scholarships are here and there, and you apply for them on your own. Sometimes they send the money directly to the schools, which is what they're supposed to do, but sometimes, they'll end up just cutting you a check. And you can start applying for these. Some of them are for, if you scroll up to see the main, you can see if they're merit-based, need-based, if they have an essay required, and you can sort by that. And you can also sort to see if they're applicable for 9th, 10th, and 11th graders as well.
They have that in the filter.
Yep.
If he's a freshman
Yep.
next year, I can search for freshman scholarships. So.
Yep.
Do they also, are these same scholarships open nationwide to people? Or do
Pretty much, yes. This is just a list that we have accessed for your reference. There are other search sites like FastWeb is a popular one for scholarship searches, and College Board has a scholarship search site on it as well.
College Board.
College Board, which is the company that does the SAT. So you can go to FastWeb and register and do filtered searches through FastWeb, or you can also do a search on College Board for scholarships as well. I mean, it can be a full-time job applying for scholarships because they're very work intensive, and you often don't get a lot of results because there are a lot of the smaller, like if you have scholarships with your work organization or your community, those sometimes are more beneficial than the bigger ones, but sometimes the bigger ones pay off too. There's still a Buck scholarship system. Doesn't look like the same Buck scholarship as it used to, but if you get as a junior chosen, they pay full tuition, and it's just for people in this region. And that should be referenced. Why don't you go pull up College Boards too and show them what that looks
Okay.
like.
I'm not as familiar with that one.
Okay, so College Board, they change it ever so often, so we'll see what it looks like now.
Are they .org?
Yep, you got it. Okay.
Oh, look at that. Read more. Right there.
Oh, look, there you go.
Read more. Come on. All right.
So that just might have taken you to an article, but nope. Okay, so this is the type of search that they have. You can do it through filter. You can filter it for different things, and it comes up with a result. This is just probably their list. Oh, they did a search result list. You put in your academic information. You can put in your personal information, the type of award, whether it be merit-based or need-based. And merit-based would be based on what you've actually accomplished. Need-based would be on your financial need. And who it is that sponsors a scholarship. Most of these will lead you to an outside site, and you apply for this scholarship on their outside site. You don't apply for the scholarship in Naviance. You don't apply for the scholarship in College Board. These are just lists that are accessing outside scholarships and how you apply for them.
I know, I'm seeing if so this would be the website.
Right. So then you go to that website and you check out, so it's this program, and you talk about, okay, well, what are they looking for, and what are the prerequisites to apply for the scholarship? What are the timelines? High school seniors apply now, and then you have to then kind of keep a log and follow up on all of these as well. Or you can just apply for them and see what happens. But something to do, definitely can be beneficial, but FAFSA is your key to most aid.
And I really encourage, if you've got a career center at your school site, sometimes local scholarships, just advertise at your career center at your school. Rotary and some of the other ones won't be on here.
Every school has a scholarship place. We have a binder in our counseling office, a board that you can look at, a list that's sent out in the newsletter that's updated fairly regularly. If the Optimist the Optimist Club is they're let all the local high schools know that they have an essay writing scholarship for $500. They'll let the high schools know, they'll put it on their board, they'll put it in their binder. The Seroptimist Club just emailed me saying, oh, are you our contact for our scholarship? They have a $1,000 scholarship, and all you have to do is write this essay and turn it in by this deadline. The Women's Thursday Club is another one that has one. Most Rotaries, like you
Most
mentioned,
Rotaries
have
do,
one in the area that they give to local high schools.
And most high school boosters, like I know Bella Vista's high school boosters, and their PTA has a scholarship that they do for kids. So there are
So check
locals.
your local school.
And then you're really competing against much fewer kids.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I have a question too, not necessarily about scholarships or any of that, but I wanted to quickly to go back to the trades because I was flipping through the binder. And so some like Caterpillar and SMUD and PG&E, are you guys or the career counselors in talks with some of those larger corporations on some of their college programs, like their ROP hands-on, because there's a Think Big program for Caterpillar, California, Pleasant Grove?
Mostly through ROP, most of the stuff we do isn't with big companies. I know we've done few things with a couple of SMUD energy programs just at our high school campuses locally, but they're like one and done programs.
So that's my question, if we're supposed to be, training people again to be mechanics and
Right.
machinists, and I just went to a luncheon today about all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question is, will career counselors know that all these big, like my husband used to work for Caterpillar,
Yeah.
so he said, no one's talking about the Think Big program. That kids can go directly from high school and get paid to become a mechanic in the Think Big program.
I hope so.
There's nothing being talked about.
I hope so.
Yeah.
We're definitely open to it. And through our ROP programs and through the programs and the partnerships that we have with the community college, they're starting to talk about that stuff. But it's hit and miss. It really is.
And PG&E being so huge and solar and all that kind of coming into it, just seems like there's kind of a missing.
Well, and there's definitely room for growth for us, and I think our district is trying very hard to bridge that gap to the retraining component. There's been such a push for so long to be A through G, A through G, A through G, and we recognize kids need to be college and career ready. So that feeds into that other piece. So I think there's just room for growth for
So
us.
is any of that information on Naviance?
Probably not.
No, I'm going to say no.
But if you do learn about something like the Think Big program and you want it to be a part of Naviance, let us know. Call your high school Naviance person. I would love to learn more about it, and I would even love to bring it onto the campus. I have students that are investigating how to get college credit. Cal State Dominguez Hills has a program that you can take college classes and get college credits, and it's really minimally cost. And a student brought it to me and said, oh, I was doing research and I found this. I just needed a sponsor. And I did some research and I found out about it. I'm like, yeah, this is a great program. I would be your sponsor. And I then start billing it to my other students too. There's so much information on the internet and out there with just a little investigation on your own part, seeing what your interests are, to see what specifically you're looking for and doing. And then once you find it, bring it and we'll put it on Naviance and we'll bring it to a career fair that we might be having, or make that relationship with, Caterpillar or PG&E.
PG&E and SMUD and CAT, they're huge.
And there's so many untapped resources that's just a small piece of it. That's just a small piece.
All right. Any other questions for us? Yes.
Is Cass is having a college knowledge tomorrow night? Do you know what
Oh,
that is
cool.
about, or
I don't know specifically what they're talking about at their college night.
Most high schools have grade level specific or just, college nights where you learn about the college going process. What specifically they're going to talk about and what spin they're going to take it to, I don't know because I don't know who's doing it, but it's probably a lot of the A through G requirements, the CSU versus the UC, what you need to do while you're in high school, the classes. Maybe it'll be CASA specific to our classes here at CASA meet these requirements and this is what you take to be here, but that's what I would guess.
Sure. Anybody else? Question? All right, well, you guys know how to reach us if you need to.
Oh, yay, we got out a whole 25 minutes early.
I know, yeah.